13 signs. Your aura is too powerful for this world. Carl Jung was right. Your energy introduces you before you even speak. This powerful truth reminds us that your aura, your presence, is shaping your life more than you realize. In today's video on spiritual wisdom, we'll explore 13 signs your aura is simply too powerful for this world, and why Carl Jung was absolutely right about the invisible forces that govern human connection. If you've ever felt misunderstood, too intense, or like your silence speaks louder than words, this is for you. These insights aren't just for reflection, they're tools for transformation. So as you watch, think about how these signs show up in your life and how you can harness your inner power with confidence and grace. Leave a comment below. I embrace my energy fully if you're ready to step into your true power. And don't forget to share your own experiences. 1. Your silence is powerful and unsettling. Your energy speaks louder than words, and your silence carries the kind of weight that can't be ignored. It's not just the absence of sound, it's the fullness of presence. When you walk into a room, something shifts. People feel it in their chest, even if they don't understand why. To those who are grounded in themselves, your presence feels calming, like a deep breath in a storm. But to those still running from their inner chaos, your silence is too loud. It echoes their unhealed wounds, their suppressed truth, the parts of themselves they've carefully hidden. You don't have to say much because your aura does the talking. Without trying, you reflect back to others what they are not ready to see in themselves. That reflection can feel like exposure, like standing in front of a mirror that doesn't flatter, but tells the truth. And when people aren't prepared to meet their truth, they project. They call you intimidating, too intense, or hard to read. But what they really mean is, you make me feel things I've been avoiding. Your presence unsettles those who live on the surface. You carry depth, and depth confronts shallowness without effort. In your stillness, there is wisdom, spiritual wisdom, earned through pain, reflection, and rising. You've likely gone through darkness that taught you how to be the light. And now, simply by being who you are, you hold space for others without saying a word. That space feels sacred. It also feels uncomfortable for people who have never sat in their own silence long enough to understand it. This is the paradox of being energetically powerful. You soothe the wounded, yet you also activate their discomfort. Some will be drawn to you as if you're the answer they've been looking for. Yet they'll pull away when they realize you won't play small to make them feel safe. Others will stay close, but only to feed off your calm until they realize your energy is not for consumption, it's for inspiration, for transformation, and that requires self-awareness they may not yet be ready for. You are often the grounding force in chaotic environments. You don't chase attention, but attention finds you. Your presence naturally invites honesty, introspection, and clarity. People feel like they can't lie around you, not because you expose them, but because your authenticity holds a mirror to their masks. That kind of presence is rare. It's not loud, but it's unforgettable. It doesn't demand the spotlight, but it becomes the center of gravity wherever it goes. Spiritual wisdom is etched into your energy, not your words. You might not always know why you know things you just do. You give advice that cuts to the soul. You hold boundaries without needing to explain them. You've walked through fire, and your silence is what remains after the screaming stopped. That's why people can't define you. They try to label you, shrink you, or box you in, but you were never meant to be understood by those still learning how to understand themselves. You are not too much. You are simply the truth in a world that often prefers the lie. And when your aura reflects light into someone's darkness, they'll either rise or retreat. But either way, your role was never to dim. Have you ever noticed how your silence changes a room? If so, share your experience in the comments so others can reflect and learn. If not, comment, "I will observe." And let's explore the power of quiet energy together. 2. Others unconsciously mimic your energy. When your energy is real, grounded, and unapologetically you, it does something extraordinary. It moves people without needing words. You're not trying to influence, but people begin to mirror you anyway. They start using your phrases, adopting your habits, and even shifting their mindset after being around you. This is not manipulation. This is resonance. It's your aura speaking before you do. That's the kind of energy that can't be taught. It must be awakened. And that awakening is not just yours. It ripples out to everyone you encounter, often without them realizing where the shift began. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That's what you're doing, becoming, not performing. And in your becoming, others feel permission to do the same. They may not say it out loud, but something in your presence feels like a compass. It's not just charisma or confidence, it's soul alignment. It's what happens when you've stopped people-pleasing, stopped pretending, and started living from the inside out. People feel that, and in a world full of masks, it stands out like light in darkness. This is one of the clearest signs of a spiritual awakening. You no longer need to chase validation or force connections. Your presence does the work for you. You carry peace in your voice, intention in your actions, and clarity in your silence. And without saying a word, you show others what it looks like to live consciously. You become a mirror, not one that flatters, but one that reveals. Some people will love you for that. Others will resent you, but all will be moved. When others copy you, it's not always flattery. Sometimes it's survival. Your aura offers a blueprint. Your life becomes proof that another way is possible, one with more honesty, more depth, more soul. And while you're not responsible for anyone else's growth, understand that your energy is contagious. It's medicine for those ready to heal, and a trigger for those still running from themselves. Your influence isn't something you asked for, but it's a natural side effect of alignment. That's the spiritual wisdom behind your quiet power. It guides without controlling, leads without demanding. So when people start to echo your way of speaking, living, or being, know that your light is doing what it came here to do, to awaken something sleeping in the collective. In this spiritual awakening, your authenticity becomes a force of nature. You are not just inspiring others. You are reminding them who they are beneath the noise. Your energy carries a frequency of truth, and truth is unforgettable. The world may not always understand your presence, but it will always feel it. Do you feel your energy influences others without saying a word? If you believe your authenticity speaks louder than words, comment below. My energy leads and others follow. 3. You're labeled as too intense or too much. You've been told you're too intense, too deep, or too much. But what they're really saying is that your truth unsettles them. You don't dilute your energy to fit into small talk or wear a mask to blend in. You walk into a room with raw presence, not arrogance, but authenticity, and that alone can shake the foundation of people who've built their identities on performance. Your honesty doesn't just speak, it vibrates. It pierces through superficial conversations and reveals what's real. And for those who've never faced their own shadows, it's easier to label you as too much than to admit they've been hiding. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That is exactly what your energy does. It forces people to confront what they've buried. You express what others suppress. You cry when something touches your soul, not because you're weak, but because you're alive. You speak your boundaries without apology. You question what doesn't feel right, even when silence would be safer. In a society addicted to the comfort of conformity, this level of spiritual honesty feels like a shock to the nervous system. Think of someone like Maya, who once sat quietly in a company meeting as her peers nodded along with a strategy she felt was manipulative. She didn't raise her voice, but when she finally spoke, her truth cut through the noise like lightning. The tension in the room wasn't anger, it was recognition. A week later, her concerns proved right. But instead of being thanked, she was told she was too blunt. But people didn't reject her because she was wrong. They rejected her because she was awake, and her awakening made their sleep uncomfortable. Your aura carries a frequency most people aren't used to. That's why they mimic your tone, copy your words, and borrow your ideas even as they distance themselves from you. It's why people come to you when they're broken, drawn by something they can't explain, only to back away once their wounds are exposed in your light. You weren't meant to fix them. You were meant to remind them who they are. But not everyone is ready to be reminded. This is the paradox of having a powerful aura. You long for depth and connection, but often end up alone because your energy acts as a mirror. You show people not who you are, but who they are not yet ready to become. Your emotional intensity, your refusal to settle for half-truths, and your spiritual wisdom aren't burdens, they're your blueprint. And the world, though often resistant, desperately needs it. Carl Jung understood that true transformation is disruptive. The ones who awaken others rarely have smooth relationships with the crowd, but they are remembered not because they fit in, but because they stirred something sacred. So no, you are not too much. You are just the echo of a deeper truth trying to find its voice in a world that has forgotten how to listen. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your experience in the comments below. Let's keep uncovering the truth behind being too much together. 4. Shallow conversations exhaust you. You don't just dislike small talk, it drains your spirit. Every time someone tries to chat about the weather, celebrity gossip, or surface-level topics, your energy begins to sink. Not because you're unfriendly, but because your soul craves something deeper. You're not wired for light banter. You're built for emotional truth, for raw conversations that go beneath the surface. That's where you come alive. When the talk turns to purpose, healing, consciousness, or the mysteries of life, you light up. Anything less feels like static noise against the frequency of your aura. Your silence in these spaces isn't coldness, it's protection. While others may feel energized by idle chatter, you often leave those conversations feeling invisible, like your presence wasn't truly felt, like your essence wasn't seen. And that's because you weren't met on your level. Your aura carries weight. It demands authenticity. It listens for truth beneath words and senses energy more than tone. So when the energy isn't aligned, when the dialogue is shallow or performative, your spirit shuts down not out of judgment, but self-preservation. This doesn't mean you can't connect with others. It means you're selective about how you connect. You desire conversations that feel like sacred exchanges, not social performances. You want to hear about someone's wounds, their dreams, their battles with faith and fear. You want to share your own depths without having to shrink them. This kind of connection is rare, but when it happens, it's unforgettable. That's why you often feel lonely in crowded rooms, because true resonance can't be faked, and your soul refuses to play small. Most people weren't taught how to sit in depth. They were conditioned to keep things light, to fear silence, to wear masks. But you've always seen through the masks, and that makes you magnetic and intimidating. People sense that with you, there's no room for pretending. And while some run from that kind of energy, others are drawn to it without knowing why. They mimic your presence, your stillness, your words, hoping to access the power you carry without having to face their own. But your power isn't a performance. It's a frequency, a vibration of spiritual wisdom that speaks even when you don't. You're not meant to adjust your depth to fit shallow waters. You're meant to rise into spaces where truth is welcome. So let your discomfort in meaningless conversations remind you of your value. Let it guide you back to alignment. Your aura isn't too much. It's a mirror. And only those ready to see themselves will stay long enough to meet you there. Comment below. I crave depth, not small talk. If you're ready to protect your energy and connect on a soul level. 5. You attract people who want healing, but they often leave. You attract people who want healing, but they often leave. And it's not because of something you did wrong. It's because your energy feels like the truth. You don't just give people comfort. You reflect their soul back to them. Your aura is a place of quiet safety, but it's also a mirror. People feel calm around you, seen in ways they haven't felt before. But as that comfort begins to strip away their distractions, old pain starts to rise, and that's when many run. Not because you hurt them, but because you revealed what they've been avoiding. Your presence has a spiritual charge that stirs what's hidden beneath the surface. You awaken emotions long buried, memories untouched, wounds never healed. It's not your words, it's your energy. Without trying, you guide people towards spiritual awakening, and that journey is not always pretty. As Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Your aura triggers that shift. You don't just comfort people, you confront them with themselves. When someone is still attached to their pain, still defining themselves through survival, your peace feels foreign. They may crave your light, but they're not yet ready to let go of the darkness that feels familiar. So they retreat, and you're left wondering why people you poured into with such love suddenly pull away. But it's not rejection, it's resistance. Healing isn't about receiving love, It's about being brave enough to accept it, and many people simply aren't there yet. You are a lighthouse, not a dock. People are meant to see your light, not always stay in your harbor. You're not here to rescue, you're here to awaken. Your role is not to fix, but to ignite. And yes, sometimes the ones who need the most healing will love your warmth, but fear the fire of transformation. So they leave not because your aura is too much, but because it's exactly what their soul asked for, even if their mind wasn't ready. If you've been feeling abandoned or unappreciated for the space you hold, remember this: your energy plants seeds. You awaken truths. And even if someone walks away, something within them has shifted forever. Your presence activated a path they may walk years later. That is spiritual wisdom, knowing that your light changes lives, even in silence, even in absence. If this message speaks to your soul, repeat after me. I am a vessel of healing, and those meant for me will stay. I release what's not ready with peace. 6. Your presence brings out the truth. Your presence brings out something raw and unforgettable in people, not through force, but through energetic truth. You don't ask for honesty. Your aura silently demands it. Without uttering a word, you awaken what others are trying to suppress. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And yet when they're in your presence, that avoidance dissolves. People start to feel exposed, like their soul is being seen, not judged seen. They realize that around you, masks are not sustainable. Pretending becomes exhausting. The frequency you carry doesn't entertain illusion. It burns through it. You may have wondered why people start confessing things to you out of nowhere. Why do they cry when they didn't expect to? Why a stranger on the bus tells you about their childhood, or a coworker you barely know admits they're falling apart. That's not a coincidence. That's your aura acting as a mirror. They're not telling you. They're telling themselves through you. Your energy is so grounded in presence that it gives others permission to drop the performance. You walk into a room, and suddenly people are remembering what they buried. They say things like, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," because deep down, they know exactly why they feel safe with you. Or more accurately, they feel unable to lie around you. This is both a blessing and a responsibility. Some people will be drawn to your authenticity because they crave it. Others will resent you for it because they fear it. You may trigger defensiveness, hostility, or projection, not because you did anything wrong, but because your energy exposes what they've worked so hard to keep hidden. They're not reacting to you. They're reacting to their own shadow, made visible by the light you carry. And this makes you magnetic to the hurting. You attract those who are lost, not because you're a savior, but because your frequency reminds them that healing is possible. Think about all the times you walked away from an interaction feeling drained, even though you barely spoke. That wasn't about the words. It was about the energy exchange. You were holding space for someone's soul, and they didn't even know it. They felt seen. And in a world that rewards numbness and performance, that kind of presence is revolutionary. Carl Jung's teachings on individuation remind us that becoming whole is not about perfection. It's about embracing every part of ourselves. And when you've done enough inner work to walk in your truth, your aura speaks louder than any words. It cuts through noise and calls people inward. That's why You're not made for shallow talk or fake smiles. You crave the real, the raw, the spiritually awake, and people feel that. Some will be changed by it. Others will run. But don't shrink. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to stir the waters. Your energy is a sacred disruption. Let it be. Stay connected with our soul-led community by subscribing to our channel. Here, we dive deep into the power of truth, energy, and divine presence. If your spirit calls others to be real, know this: you are walking in a sacred gift. Remember, your presence is a mirror, and the truth it reflects is part of your purpose. 7. Sensitive souls, animals, and children feel safe with you. Sensitive souls, animals, and children are drawn to you without hesitation. They feel safe in your presence, not because of anything you say, but because of who you are. Your energy speaks volumes. It radiates calm, truth, and unconditional acceptance. Children climb into your lap without asking. Animals sit at your feet as if they've found home. Empaths feel like they can finally breathe around you. You carry an aura that doesn't judge, doesn't rush, doesn't demand, just allows. This rare energy is a sanctuary for the innocent and the intuitive. You don't need to say a word to change the atmosphere in a room. Your silence is louder than most people's noise. You walk in, and the vibration shifts. The grounded feel anchored. The unsettled feel is exposed. Your quiet presence acts as a spiritual tuning fork. It resonates with truth. And those out of alignment with their own authenticity can feel it. They might not understand it, but they can't ignore it. There's a kind of weight to your being, a depth that doesn't scream for attention, but commands respect nonetheless. Without effort, you influence others. People start mirroring your tone, your gestures, your energy. They don't even realize they're doing it. Your aura is magnetic, not because it seeks to attract, but because it lives in alignment. And alignment is rare. You're not performing or pretending. You're simply being, and in a world addicted to masks, that kind of raw presence is contagious. Others unconsciously try to match your frequency just to feel what authenticity is like. You've probably been told you're too much, too sensitive, too intense, too serious. But those words aren't about you. They're about the discomfort your truth brings out in others. You feel deeply, speak honestly, and refuse to dilute yourself. That kind of realness threatens people who survive by staying shallow. But spiritual wisdom reminds us, the truth doesn't need permission to exist. You are not too much. You are a mirror, and not everyone is ready to look. Shallow conversations exhaust you. Small talk feels like noise. Gossip drains your spirit. You crave conversations that stir the soul, that peel back the layers and expose the beauty beneath the surface. You long for emotional honesty, sacred silence, and meaningful presence. Anything less feels like starvation. And so, you retreat, not because you're antisocial, but because your energy needs nourishment, not noise. You tend to attract the broken, the seekers, the ones who are quietly begging for healing. They come to you like moths to a flame, sensing a light they don't yet understand. You listen, you hold space, you help them see themselves. But you must remember, your light is precious. Not everyone who reaches for it intends to grow. Some only want comfort, not transformation. Spiritual wisdom means knowing when to pour and when to protect. Not every wounded soul is yours to carry. Some must find their own healing. And that's okay. Did this message resonate with you? If sensitive souls, animals, or children feel safe around you, it's It's a sign of your rare and calming energy. Comment, I am a safe space below if you feel this is true for you. And let's keep exploring the power of quiet presence together. 8. You intuitively sense hidden motives. You don't just hear what people say, you feel what they mean. When someone speaks to you, their words might be calm or convincing, but your inner knowing tunes into something else entirely. You sense the energy underneath, the subtle tension in their voice, the avoidance in their eyes, the shift in their body language. Even if the world around you accepts a surface-level truth, your spirit already knows the deeper reality. This isn't imagination. It's intuition sharpened by a deep spiritual awakening, and it allows you to sense hidden motives long before others catch on. People may not understand how you just know things without evidence, but you don't need proof. Your aura is a finely tuned instrument. It picks up dishonesty, insecurity, envy, and unspoken resentment, like a radio receiving hidden frequencies. And because your energy is powerful, it naturally repels manipulation. You can see through charm, fake kindness, even silent competition. You don't need drama or conflict to reveal the truth. Your intuition already exposes it. Yet this gift can be heavy. Being this perceptive often isolates you. You walk through life seeing masks that others don't even realize they're wearing. You hear the pain in someone's joke, the fear behind their confidence, the emptiness in their attention-seeking. It's exhausting pretending not to notice, so sometimes you simply retreat. You crave quiet, not just to rest, but to recover from the energetic weight of constant truth. Still, you often doubt yourself, wondering if you're being too sensitive, too suspicious. But deep down, you know better. The problem isn't your awareness. The problem is a world that prefers illusion over honesty. In a society that rewards performance and punishes vulnerability, your ability to feel so deeply is seen as a threat. You don't just engage in conversation, you read souls. And not everyone wants to be seen that clearly. You're not paranoid. You're not overthinking. You're tuned in. Your spiritual awakening didn't give you this gift by accident. It's part of your protection, your purpose. It allows you to discern what's real without waiting for confirmation. And while others stumble through betrayal, confusion, or misaligned relationships, you've already sensed the truth and moved on. You're not cold, you're clear. This clarity is why people are drawn to you, but also fear you. Your presence forces authenticity. Your silence is loud. Your eyes ask questions no one is ready to answer. You trigger reflection, not because you try to, but because your aura demands truth. Even without words, you create a space where falsehoods can't survive. So trust that inner pull. Don't second-guess what you feel just because others don't see it yet. Energy never lies, and your aura has never led you astray. This isn't about judgment, it's about alignment. You were never meant to follow noise. You were meant to follow energy. And that's exactly what you're doing. If you're still here and this message resonates with your inner knowing, comment, I trust my intuition below. Your voice matters. It helps us grow together in truth and awareness. 9. You quickly outgrow stagnant environments. You outgrow stagnant environments not because you're indecisive, but because your soul evolves faster than most people can understand. When the energy around you no longer supports your expansion, you feel it deeply, almost like a silent alarm ringing from within. Your body may still be present, but your spirit begins to detach. Something feels off. The conversations feel hollow. The tasks become meaningless. And you start craving more truth, more depth, more purpose. This isn't just restlessness. It's your higher self pulling you forward. As Carl Jung once said, life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. You, however, began your research long ago, and now you're in the phase of real becoming. Even when others don't understand it, you do. You can't fake your energy to stay where you don't belong. You've tried, maybe once or twice perhaps, for the sake of peace or people-pleasing, but your soul doesn't negotiate. When you've outgrown a space, you'll feel emotionally congested. Your spirit will grow heavier. The laughter won't feel real anymore. You'll sit in rooms where the conversation drains you, and the silence that once brought peace now begins to scream. That's the moment you know it's time to move. There's a story in modern life that mirrors this perfectly. A woman worked a high-paying corporate job for 3 years. On the surface, she was thriving, but internally, she was crumbling. Every day, her energy dimmed. One morning, she couldn't get out of bed. It wasn't depression. It was a disconnection. Her aura had outgrown the rigid system that once felt like security. So she walked away, started teaching mindfulness, and within 1 year, she not only healed, she expanded. Her glow returned, and so did her purpose. This is what happens when you honor the urge to evolve. People who haven't experienced spiritual awakening will call you inconsistent, flaky, or dramatic. But Carl Jung reminded us, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That means breaking away from who you had to be for survival and stepping into who you're meant to be for your soul's freedom. Outgrowing people, jobs, and old versions of yourself is not a sign of instability. It's a sign of alignment. It means your aura is too powerful to remain confined by old systems, outdated energies, or relationships that no longer nourish your growth. You're not afraid to walk away because you trust what's ahead more than you fear what's behind. Every time you release what no longer serves you, you make space for what your spirit truly needs. And this courage, this deep inner knowing, makes you magnetic. You don't chase alignment. You attract it by refusing to betray yourself. While others stay stuck out of fear or habit, you keep rising again and again, choosing authenticity over comfort, truth over illusion, and evolution over stagnation. That's not just personal growth. That's spiritual wisdom in action. Comment, "I evolve quickly," if you resonate with this message, or "I need more time," if your journey looks a little different. Either way, your growth matters. Let's talk about it below. 10. People either deeply admire or fear you. You provoke something in people that they can't quite put into words. It's either magnetic admiration or deep discomfort, but never indifference. That's because your energy carries truth, and truth exposes everything that's false. Some are drawn to you like a moth to a flame, mesmerized by your clarity, your presence, your stillness. Others feel uneasy, even defensive, because being around you means facing parts of themselves they've tried to ignore. You don't have to say a word. Your presence alone unsettles lies, pierces through facades, and demands honesty. This isn't because you try to be powerful. It's because you are aligned, and alignment is a frequency most people aren't used to. You reflect a level of self-awareness and spiritual wisdom that feels like a mirror. The kind of mirror that doesn't flatter or filter, it simply shows. And while some will thank you for it, others will blame you. But that's not your responsibility. When you've done the deep inner work, your very existence becomes a silent challenge to those still hiding behind personas. You don't dim your light, and that light makes everything else visible. That's why you're rarely liked. You're either deeply respected or completely misunderstood. You weren't made to be neutral. You were made to be transformational. People often assume you're intense, but it's not intensity, it's presence. It's the ability to hold your ground, to walk into a room and shift the energy without uttering a word. You are not noise. You are a signal. And because of that, you don't chase people, attention, or validation. You've learned the quiet power of stillness. You've learned that peace is louder than performance. That's why people come to you, not because you run after them, but because your energy whispers what they've been longing to hear. Truth, authenticity, permission to be real. You were never meant to be a comfort zone. You are a catalyst. People don't meet you and stay the same. They either rise, retreat, or wrestle with their own illusions. Some will credit you for their transformation. Others will call you the problem. But either way, you left a mark. Your presence challenged something in them, and most won't forget that. Because you don't just enter people's lives, you activate them. You stir the waters. You bring what's hidden into the light. And that's not always welcomed. But this is not a curse. It is a calling. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." You've done that. Or at least, you're on the path to doing so. And as a result, your aura doesn't ask for permission. It simply exists in truth. That truth exposes lies. That clarity disrupts confusion. That light confronts shadows. And not everyone is ready for that. But that's exactly why you're here. Not to be understood by all, but to awaken the few who are ready. Because real spiritual wisdom doesn't ask for applause. It simply transforms. If this message resonated with your powerful presence, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an insight that honors who you truly are. Comment below. I embrace my magnetic energy to affirm your strength. 11. You reject fake energy and lies. You have a built-in radar for dishonesty. It's not something you consciously try to detect. It just happens. You feel when someone is lying, when their words don't match their energy, when their smile is hiding something darker underneath. And no matter how charming or convincing they may appear on the surface, your soul sees through the performance. That's because your spiritual awakening has sharpened your inner clarity. You've done the work. You've peeled back the layers of your own ego, confronted your fears, owned your truth. So now, when something feels false, your whole body reacts. You can't fake it. You can't play along. You simply withdraw. This is more than intuition. It's energetic alignment. You've reached a frequency where only truth feels safe. Anything built on lies feels like poison. And even if you don't speak up, your silence says everything. People feel the shift when they're around you. Some get nervous, others get defensive, because your aura reflects back their own dishonesty. You don't have to accuse anyone. Your presence alone unsettles those hiding behind masks. And though they may not admit it, they know they can't pretend with you. It's not always easy. Being this energetically sensitive can be exhausting. You can't just go with the flow when the flow is full of deceit. You walk into a room and instantly sense what's not being said. You hear the words, but you also hear the silence underneath. You sense the envy behind the compliments, the guilt behind the jokes, the manipulation hidden inside fake concern. And because you've chosen to live in truth, you have no patience for anything less. People may call you too intense or too serious, but that's only because they're used to environments that reward inauthenticity. You, on the other hand, are a mirror, and not everyone is ready to see their reflection. This level of energetic awareness isn't just about self-protection, it's a spiritual gift. Your aura doesn't just repel what's fake, it also invites in those who are seeking truth. You draw in souls who are ready to go deeper, who are tired of games, who crave real connection. You become a sanctuary for those who've been pretending for too long. And while your path may feel lonely at times, it is never empty. You are a lighthouse for the real ones. Your rejection of fake energy is a sign that you've evolved. It's spiritual wisdom in action. It means your soul no longer wants to survive in a broken system, it wants to heal it. And healing begins with truth. You're not here to adapt to the illusion. You're here to awaken people from it. If this message resonates with your spirit, leave a comment of truth. I honor what's real, and I reject what's fake. I choose to walk in authenticity and light. 12. You act as a mirror for others. You act as a mirror for others, not just in a metaphorical sense, but in an energetic one that few truly understand. Your presence reflects back the unspoken, the hidden, and the deeply buried truths within those around you. People don't just see you, they see themselves in your aura, and that's not always easy for them to handle. Some feel inspired by this reflection and begin their own process of healing and growth. Others, confronted by parts of themselves they're not ready to face, push you away, often without understanding why. As Carl Jung once said, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. Your energy exposes both the light and the shadow, and not everyone is equipped to face the mirror you hold up to their soul. In a world that thrives on image, illusion, and performance, you carry a frequency of raw honesty. You don't expose people intentionally. Your energy simply unmasks what is already there. This isn't about judgment. It's about presence. People feel seen in ways they haven't been seen before. Your aura doesn't flatter the ego. It speaks directly to the soul. And while some find that liberating, others find it uncomfortable, even unbearable. This is why you may have experienced friendships that ended abruptly, romantic connections that fizzled once vulnerability surfaced, or work environments where colleagues simultaneously respected you and kept their distance. You weren't doing anything wrong. You were simply showing them to themselves. There's a story that plays out often in the lives of those with powerful auras. A woman walks into a cafe and sits quietly, just reading a book. A stranger across the room can't help but be drawn to her energy. He doesn't know why, but something about her presence feels both magnetic and unsettling. He strikes up a conversation, but soon he finds himself revealing things he's never told anyone. Midway through the exchange, he becomes nervous and abruptly ends the conversation. She sits quietly again, not surprised. This has happened too many times to count. Her energy is a mirror, and people either lean in or run. Carl Jung taught that individuation, the process of integrating the shadow into the conscious self, is essential to becoming whole. Your aura initiates this process in others, whether they're ready or not. You awaken buried memories, long-forgotten dreams, and subconscious fears. Without uttering a word, your vibration communicates. There is more to you than what you're showing. Are you ready to see it? That's not something everyone can handle. Some would rather stay asleep than face their inner chaos. Others see you as the lighthouse in their storm. Either way, you were never meant to be neutral. You were meant to be a turning point in the lives of those who encounter you. You may often feel isolated, misunderstood, or even blamed for others' emotional reactions. But this is the path of the energetic mirror. It's a path that requires boundaries, spiritual grounding, and deep self-respect. You are not responsible for how others respond to their reflection. Your role is not to fix, rescue, or explain. Your role is to embody your truth so clearly that others are forced to decide whether they are ready to meet themselves. And when they are ready, your presence becomes a portal, a gateway into their spiritual awakening. What you carry is not just presence, it's spiritual wisdom woven into your being. Your aura is a mirror, a teacher, and a test. It challenges people to rise or retreat. And that, in itself, is one of the most powerful gifts you can give to this world. If you know your presence reflects truth and triggers growth in others, comment below. I embrace my mirror energy. This is your sign to keep walking the path of transformation. 13. You no longer try to fit in. You've stopped dimming your light for the comfort of others. You no longer twist yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for your soul. It's not about rebellion. It's about liberation. You've reached a level of spiritual wisdom where being liked isn't nearly as important as being honest. You don't crave acceptance from the crowd because you finally accepted yourself. And in doing so, your energy shifted. You're no longer molding yourself into shapes that make others feel secure. Instead, you're honoring your truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable. That's not defiance, it's integrity. The old you would have stayed silent in rooms that dismissed your voice, laughed politely at conversations that drained your spirit, and tolerated company that only liked the filtered version of you. But not anymore. Now, your standards are spiritual. You seek alignment, not applause. You crave presence, not performance. You don't care to be invited where you don't belong because you've stopped negotiating your worth. You're not afraid to walk alone if it means walking in truth. You've outgrown the need to be understood by everyone. You've learned that what's real doesn't need to be explained. It simply resonates. When you no longer try to fit in, people either feel deeply drawn to you or deeply triggered by you. That's the power of authenticity. It polarizes. But instead of shrinking to avoid confrontation, you stand taller. You've realized that your light was never the problem. It was their unhealed shadow that couldn't stand the reflection. You don't water yourself down anymore. Your truth is sacred, and you guard it accordingly. You speak with clarity, not for validation, but because your soul can no longer tolerate silence in the face of falseness. This shift is spiritual awakening in its rawest form. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And now, you're living that privilege. You're no longer asking for permission. You've become the permission. The way you move, the way you speak, the way you choose peace over performance, It all reflects your decision to stop performing and start existing. And in doing so, your aura has become too powerful for spaces that rely on pretense to survive. You no longer chase shallow approval. You attract depth. You no longer beg to be seen. You radiate in ways that can't be ignored. Even when others don't fully understand you, they feel something when you're near. That something is your essence unmasked. That something is spiritual wisdom embodied. The world told you to be small, to stay soft, to not ruffle feathers, but your spirit had other plans. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to awaken others simply by being who you are. This isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. It's about knowing that belonging should never come at the cost of your authenticity. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be unforgettable. You've stopped adjusting your volume in rooms that can't handle your frequency. You've stopped explaining your energy to those who never cared to understand it. Your presence now speaks for itself, and it speaks truth. To honor your journey of self-acceptance and truth, make your voice heard. Comment below. I choose to be real, to affirm your path, and remind others that they don't have to shrink to belong. So if you've ever felt like your energy is too much for the world, maybe it's because you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out, to awaken others, and to live from your highest truth. Remember, having a powerful aura is not a curse. It's a calling. Embrace it, protect it, and let it guide you toward your purpose. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our upcoming videos that help you grow spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. Until next time, keep shining. The world needs your light.